think that my journey through medicine has been a non-traditional path, always destined to work hard and never learn how to work smart. But things are going to change. I invested as soon as I had my first intern salary. So I still remember going to the bank and saying, like, when can I get my first pre-approval for a home loan? I am running essentially two startups and using a lot of my energy to run two startups when I could otherwise be probably earning and working a lot less working as a GP.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Passive Income Doctor. Today, we have a special guest, Dr. Angela Kwong, who's a GP and founder of Enlighten Me, which is a doctor-designed, Australian-made meal replacement shakes for weight loss. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you so much for having me as a guest.
Yeah. So, do you want to tell us a bit about your background and also nowadays what you do day to day?
Yeah, thank you so much. So my background is as a GP and I still work 1 day a week in as a full service GP. So I see all aspects of general practice, women's health, pediatrics, coughs and colds, you name it. But the other days a week, then I run a medically supervised weight loss program. I've been running that for about 2 years now, and we take a multidisciplinary approach to weight management. My team and I consist of myself and another female GP, and we help patients understand the cause for their weight management and develop a weight management plan. But in addition to that, we really try to help to empower the patients to change their lifestyle. So we exercise together with them every week, we give them nutrition coaching, and we give them a lot of patient education so that they can really sustain those changes in the long term. And it was about a year after running the program that I felt a bit iffy and a bit uncomfortable having prescribed so many weight loss medications. Patients initially told me they're great, I have less food noise, I'm not constantly thinking about the next meal or worrying about the next meal, but they were also struggling with a lot of side effects. They were having a lot of reflux, a lot of nausea, constipation, change in bowel habit. And not only that, but I noticed that they were actually struggling with reduced appetite, not getting in enough protein, and also starting to get malnourished. And I was trying to think of how I could possibly help them to fill that protein gap and also fill that nutritional gap. And it's not that hard to really force feed someone whole foods or solid foods when they're also juggling side effects of the medication like delayed gastric emptying with the GLP-1s. So that was when I thought about supplementing with powdered foods, and I looked around at all of the different options that we had on the shelves, and lo and behold, many of them were medium in protein but really high in carbs. And when I thought about it, it really undid all the good work that the patients were investing their time, energy, and money in when they were taking these very GLP-1s. So that's what I did. I reverse engineered a lot of the formulas, had a look at what the things that I liked and I didn't like, and I created the Enlighten Me shakes. So they are high protein, low carb, certified FODMAP friendly meal replacement shakes designed to nourish and support a patient during their weight loss journey.
Yeah, awesome. And I think this is a space that a lot of GPs, kind of struggle with, especially in a short, say standard 15-minute consultation. For yourself, I think you said maybe you saw a lot of patients kind of struggling with it. Was there any other kind of inspiring factor why you decided to become a GP with a special interest in weight loss?
It was kind of patient demand. So, as a female GP, I attract a lot of female patients. I was looking after a lot of patients with their antenatal care. I was looking after a lot of patients with their family planning. And during a lot of those pregnancies, I was looking after patients with their complications of their weight during their pregnancies. So I was looking after thyroid disease during pregnancies, gestational diabetes during pregnancy, increasing blood pressure during their pregnancy. And of course, after their pregnancy, they came to me for help with trying to get back into shape. And so I kind of became this go-to person the patients were looking for help with in order to get their health back on track. And it started to make me think about, am I going to always try and help my patients manage their chronic disease or prevent their complications? Or is there more to it? Is there something more meaningful that I can do? And is actually, when it comes to medicine, is the root of it actually helping patients with their weight and dodging that chronic disease and helping them do a 180 earlier in life? So that's when I really started to focus on weight management, and my love of weight management and obesity management started to creep in.
Yeah, awesome. All right, and let's go back. On our podcast, we talk about the concept of financial health, and unfortunately, a lot of doctors we're not taught about finances or business skills when growing up in medical school or as a junior doctor. Um, so I guess when you were very young, what was the mindset around money? About what were the discussions like around the dinner table?
Yeah, so I grew up in a very, very hardworking family. I come from a migrant family. My parents essentially came here from Hong Kong with about $20 in their pocket, almost nothing. And you know the saying, work smarter, not harder. I think that we have actually worked really, really hard for our entire lives. And I hope to work smarter in the future inside my life. But essentially, I worked hard, absolutely really, really hard from about the age of 8 because I grew up in a Chinese restaurant family.
Mm,
So my parents' mindset was that, they came over here as migrants. They didn't have a lot of opportunity and they didn't have a lot of workers in the restaurant. So I was waitressing from about the age of 8, saving all my money. It was quite normal for me to grow up in a household where we would work 7 days, 7 nights, do long hours, do lunch, do dinner, finish at 10 o'clock at night, not go on holidays, work most days of the year, even open half days on public holidays. This was considered normal. And so when I was, a young intern, when I was a resident and my friends couldn't make their shifts or wanted to have a weekend off and they asked me to take their shift, I'd be like, yeah, that's fine. My friends used to actually call me a workhorse. I didn't really think anything of it. I'd be like, oh, it's quite normal to work like 6 or 7 days a week. And it's only really when I've become a GP and when I've become a parent and a mother and when I've created my own business and I've started to learn that you can actually choose what you want and you can actually create the time and you can create the lifestyle that you want, that I've learned about work-life balance. And it's actually become very meaningful for me because for me, normal was actually every working hour that you have available by default is an opportunity for you to be able to provide for your family. So
mm.
for me, I was always destined to work hard and never learn how to work smart, but things are going to change.
Yeah. And I guess looking back now, like, do you feel working so hard, like felt like your childhood was missing or deprived, or do you feel like it was a good thing because it kind of instilled some good work ethic?
I feel like it was always going to be that way, and I hope that my daughter is going to be a hard worker too. I think this generation, I don't know if my daughter is going to be that much of a hard worker, but we'll see what
So,
happens.
yeah. Um, I mean, yeah, I also come from background, my parents from Hong Kong as well. And also I remember, yeah, during working multiple jobs to kind of pay rent and pay for food during university days. And then also as a intern and resident, yes, often I'd be one of a couple that would pick up, other doctors after hour shifts, weekend shifts. I particularly like the Sunday shifts because of the high rate of pay. And yes, I think kind of put in that hard work early on in your career. Obviously, still practicing safely, of course, but if you can kind of put that work in, develop some savings and invest, I think that will kind of um, put you in good stead. And, there's a saying, I think, where it says you either do the hard now or you do the hard later, your
Yeah,
choice. Um,
definitely.
So tell us then your journey kind of into medicine and then also your junior doctor years.
Yeah, so my journey into medicine was, to be honest, like, and even when I go in to speak to medical students in the careers night, I tell them that I didn't find medicine particularly fun. So I felt that it was quite dry. I remember looking at my textbooks thinking, like, this is so theoretical. And I didn't find much joy in learning all the theory when it came to medicine. I didn't enjoy doing all of the exams very much. But every time that I went into the hospital, every time that I went into a clinical setting or saw a patient, I absolutely loved it. So being able to see a patient at their bedside, being able to talk to them, being able to even practice an examination on it. I knew that even though the material was incredibly dry, this was what I was supposed to do. I was supposed to be a people person who was going to have meaningful relationships with someone and also solve their problems with whatever skill set that I had, whether they were the medical skills in order to solve their medical problem, or whether it was utilizing my social skills to help them navigate a situation. So I knew that I had to be able to, fix things. And that was what was going to bring me joy and meaning in my life. And I think that that has actually helped me in the next phase of my journey. So, in the business side of my journey as well, because I was continuing that on inside general practice as well. So, I was very, very happy in general practice. I had many, many followers when it came to general practice, and had very full books. I had a 9 week wait. I was very, very happy in general practice. But what I also felt was that I was one GP who could look after a very small local group of patients when it came to weight management. And I wanted to do something that could touch people in a bigger way and also create more meaning as well. And I think that, if I didn't become a doctor in this life, I would become some kind of handyman or some kind of inventor, and I would actually try to solve problems in a different way. So I think that I have actually used a mix of my clinical skills and also my problem solving skills in trying to create a multidisciplinary approach to weight management in order to help people who are even rural and remote in Australia. And then from that, figuring out that, okay, I feel a little bit uncomfortable prescribing so many GLP-1s. How can I solve the nutritional problem that accompanies that? I know I'll formulate a product that can actually help that. So, yeah, I think in a roundabout way of answering your question, I think that my journey through medicine has been a non-traditional path, but I feel very happy with the way that it has taken.
Yeah. And talking about kind of finances and investing on this podcast for yourself, when did you start investing? Was it, university days, or was it during your junior doctor days? And how did you go about that?
Yeah, so when it comes to investing, I think there's probably two parts of the question, like investing in terms of money and also investing in terms of yourself. When it comes to investing in terms of money, I invested as soon as I had my first intern salary. So I still remember going to the bank and saying, like, when can I get my first pre-approval for a home loan? They said,
Wow.
you've got to do your first tax return. So I did that. And then I remember trying to negotiate a sale for a first property. And I remember that the real estate agent was trying to haggle with me. And I put an offer on a property. And the real estate agent said, oh, Angela, there's this other guy. You need to offer a little bit more. His offer is a little bit more than yours. You need to offer about $5,000 more. And I said to him, you know what? You're going to have to sell it to the other guy because I'm an intern. This is all I got. I can't even borrow $1 more. So you're going to have to sell it to the other guy. This is my maximum. Goodbye. And I walked off. And then he called me back like 10 minutes later. He's like, nah, you can have it. And I'm like, I knew it. There is no other guy. So
Yeah.
I remember standing my ground. But I remember very, very clearly that, I thought about investing from that point. And I remember that, when it comes to investing, it is the long game and it is about, some people say to me, when is the best time to invest? The market goes up and down. What's going to happen in 3 years' time? What's going to happen in 5 years' time? Who cares? Investing is a long-term picture, and you're going to regret not doing it today. You always have to do it today. And it's not about, oh man, I missed out 2 years ago. I missed out 5 years ago, or I should invest in 2 years' time. You always invest today, no matter
Mm.
what. So that is my opinion. As soon as you can get your first salary, as soon as you get your first tax return, I would always just invest today. And then the other flip side of the coin is investing in yourself because, as doctors, as medical practitioners, our skill set is super specialized, but also super narrow as well. And when I've gone down this path, I've actually learned so many things that I've need subspecialty coaches to teach me along the way. Like I had no idea how to do my own website. I had no idea how to run a webinar. I had no idea how to do things like be a doctor who has my own social media channels. You have to invest in having people to train you and teach you so that you don't make a fool of yourself. So, yeah, be prepared to invest in yourself so that you have the confidence to be able to do different things, and so that you can also make it fun as well.
Yeah. And actually, in my Facebook group for doctors, a lot of interns and residents are asking questions about, buying your first property. So I guess kind of for them, for you, like what made you kind of want to invest, because obviously coming from a maybe an Asian migrant family, it's all about, saving, saving, saving. Like what kind of made you want to take that leap of faith and, invest and watch your savings, drop? I know for me that was very daunting. Like what was the process like, and what kind of motivated you, inspired you to invest in residential property?
Couple of things. So, number one, owning a piece of land in Australia is forever. So, that was the first thing. It's not like other countries where you own it for 50 years or 100 years and then it belongs to someone else. The second thing is, in general, in Australia, property is going to, double every 7 to 10 years. So if you got a mortgage that is about 30 years, then you know it's going to double a couple of times during that time. And you've got more than 30 working years as a doctor anyway, so why not? And number three, yes, there is going to be a couple of ups and downs, but if you're taking a long-term view at it in about 30 years, you can ride all those things out anyway, particularly during your doctor's working life. So for me, knowing that I was a medical practitioner, I have a very low occupational risk, I got a long working life, I can ignore all of the small fluctuations. I thought that property was something tactile, something fun, something that I could drive past and be
Yeah.
proud of, and something that I would have long-term ownership for. So for me, property was something that I chose as a young intern.
Yeah, very good. And how did you go about? Did you just kind of buy in, near to where you were living because more comfortable, or any kind of research? Like, how did you go about selecting which? It sounds like you bought a house rather than a unit.
I bought a duplex
I,
because it's got lots of space, but not too much land and happy tenants. And I chose one that I could drive past near the hospital that I was working at.
yeah,
That's all the information I'm giving on this podcast
yeah, all
today.
good, all good. All right. And what is your investment philosophy? Like, I guess income generating from your day job or income generating from your business. Um, is it split between shares and property or ETFs? You obviously don't have to share numbers, but kind of what is your kind of general philosophy, how you, allocate where to invest?
For me, I think it's important to start early. So I did start quite early as a young intern and then continued on. And for now, then for me, I'm focusing definitely on my business. I am running essentially two startups, and using a lot of my energy to run two startups when I could otherwise be probably earning and working a lot less working as a GP. So as I said before, I was working as a GP 3 to 4 days a week, booked out 9 weeks in advance, charging private fees. So I was working very comfortably as a GP, and now I'm probably working like double the hours, half the pay, and doing a lot more different tasks than I would be as a GP. So doing IT,
Mm,
working on the marketing, creating the social media, doing the website design. But there's something special about running your own business. There's some kind of thrill about it. There's something special about, and there's some kind of meaning in running your own business. So even though there isn't instant gratification and early financial reward, I'm in it for the long run, and I'm even if it doesn't end up becoming a big financial success for me, it's already very meaningful for me.
mm,
So I'm happy to continue on with this.
yeah. And that's right. I guess we're kind of chasing fulfillment and enjoyment in life as well. So tell us about Enlighten Me. So my understanding is, I guess there's the product side, and then there's also the kind of coaching or program side. And yeah, thanks for providing a sample for the video podcast
You're
as well.
welcome.
Yeah, do you want to tell us a bit more about Enlighten Me and what's involved?
Yeah, so Enlighten Me was my first business. It was never designed to be a business, though. It was just designed to be my side gig. So I was planning to still work 3 days a week in general practice and create this side gig where I could work 1 day a week from home, see patients via telehealth, have GP consultations with them, and also put them into a program. So my original idea was just to see patients on telehealth, treat them no differently to how they were in my consultation room, do a workup, figure out the factors contributing to their weight, and also put them into a coaching program where they're receiving nutritional education, exercise together with them, and give them access to a content hub, which gives them a range of education. Unfortunately, or maybe not unfortunately, as soon as I launched, I had so much interest. So I thought that I would get 1 or 2 patients joining the program. But as soon as I did my first webinar, 200 people turned up and 10 patients joined the program from the first webinar. So it went bonkers straight away. And then month after month, the same thing happened. So it suddenly turned into a business and I needed to have a team. So I just continued on. And then suddenly we became, a team of one into a team of six. And now I'm all of a sudden like running a practice. So that's where we are today. We're a group practice of six, 2 years down the track, and it's a well-oiled machine now. And as for the Enlighten Me shakes, I launched that one in August of last year. And the Enlighten Me shakes currently, it's available online, and also we are available in 7 stockists. So a couple in New South Wales, 2 in Perth, and 1 in Melbourne. And currently available in 2 flavors, chocolate, vanilla, and we also have a shaker cup as well. So it keeps me very busy.
Yeah. And what are some of the challenges, like especially in the early days? I've interviewed a few different doctors turned entrepreneurs on this show. For yourself, what were some of the kind of key challenges maybe in the early days?
Key challenges. I guess one of the challenges is that every single thing that you do is uncharted waters, and you have no idea if you're doing it wrong. You're probably doing it wrong, and you just don't know how long that you should keep on doing it wrong for. So every time that I do something new, say for example, I am setting up a Google ad, I'm like, how much budget should I do? Or the other part of my brain is like, how much money am I going to blow on this? And how long should I blow money on this before I stop it? So yeah, I think the hardest thing is that my training is in medicine. My training is not in IT. My training is not as a Google Ads expert. My training is not as a website designer. My training is not as a marketing person or as a social media manager. I have absolutely no training in how to run a business or how to run a team. And so I'm literally just winging all of these things and hoping for the best. But at the core of it, my heart is as a clinician trying to do the right thing. And so I think that people understand that. I think that people know that. And that's why people still come to me. So that's why people join the program, because they know that it's been designed by a doctor who has the right intentions, wants to care for you, and wants to achieve the very best result for you. And they also know at the end of the day, then it is a clinically designed product that is designed to help you get good results. And it's not full of fillers to reduce the manufacturing cost of the product. It's not full of artificial sweeteners that's going to give you a laxative effect. There's lots of thought process that has gone into there in order to optimize it for the patient. So I think at the end of the day, even though I'm a complete noob when it comes to so many other aspects of running the business, I still believe that I'm the right person to be doing those things, because the patients, the customers, the clients, the buyers, they appreciate the clinical integrity that's behind that intent.
And yeah, and that's very admirable. And I guess, kind of, as you said, kind of having a clinician mindset or clinician first, some of these other roles, such as IT, such as marketing, social media, have you brought on some kind of external consultants or business coaches? Or do you feel some people might say, try and figure out yourself first, so at least you have some understanding before outsourcing some of these tasks?
Yeah, so I only take on advisors and coaches, but I never outsource for that very reason. So I will take on professional advisors to give me advice and to point me in the right direction and show me what's best practice, but I will never outsource it to an external agency. So I don't let anybody take control of my ads. I don't let anybody speak on my behalf. I don't let anyone do any marketing copy, for example,
Mm,
because I like to make sure that everything comes from the heart, and everything is. I personally like to write everything, because I don't like anything to sound fake or cringy in that way.
mm. And in terms of growth of the business, is there kind of targets, whether financial or whether number of patients you want to help? And yeah, how do you go about kind of goal setting? And if you've hit some of the milestones, what did it feel like?
Yeah. So in terms of that's because there's two businesses. So in terms of the program, I am quite transparent with patients that we are a small boutique practice and we can only take on a small number of patients. And if you are eligible to, and if you are safe to be part of a multidisciplinary weight management program, then you will receive an invitation to join. What I essentially mean by that is, if you've recently had a heart attack, I will decline an invitation to you. You should go and focus on your cardiac rehab first. If you're someone who's been newly diagnosed with insulin dependent diabetes, you should stabilize your blood sugars first before you think about optimizing your weight, for example. So there are some hard criteria where I do tell patients that joining a weight management program is not your first priority right now, but I would definitely consider you after you have sorted out your other primary medical issues. So we are a small boutique program where I can only take on a small number of patients each time because of the nature of the program in us providing so much supervision and so much support. And I have no intention to turn that into a massive business because I want to be able to provide that level of care. So that program, I have no intention to make it into a humongous business. As for the shakes, I do want to be able to provide more community access for patients. So, as I said before, we do have stockers. So, we do have pharmacies, which allows patients to be able to have that conversation with their local pharmacist. I'm taking this current medication, how much protein should I be having per day? I have reduced kidney function. I'm also juggling this medication. Pharmacists are a fantastic resource for patients. They have their GP, they have their pharmacist, they have continuity of care that way. So I am looking for and also visiting, speaking to, doing sampling events, doing tasting events with a bunch of different pharmacies. And what I hope to do is have a few more access points. Hopefully, I would like to have some pharmacies in the ACT, for example, have some in Queensland, for example, and that would be fantastic.
The Enlighten Me shaker, I'm very intrigued how you went about designing it, and do you consider patenting it? And yeah, can you walk us through that process?
Yeah, if you have a look at my cupboard, I have about 100 shakers that didn't make the cut. So when it came to the shaker, my experience with using shakers is that I have so many shakers that I felt were not great. So many shakers actually have a pop top that once you shake it and you pop it off, sometimes it will spontaneously pop off, and sometimes all of the frothy bits of the milk will actually go all over your face. So that's the reason why I actually got a shaker that has a screw top on the top so that that doesn't happen. One of the other reasons why I chose this specific shaker was that it has a star-shaped mixer inside. And the reason for that is many shakers have a very sharp metal shaker inside. And the metal mixer on the inside can be sharp, can rust, and it's just not that comfortable. So that's the reason why I didn't have that. The other thing that I liked about this one was that it's clear, you can see your drink inside, that way you can see whether there's any clumps. It's transparent, it's got the measurement on the outside, but it's also just got the understated logo on there, so it's not very loud. It's nice and sturdy, it fits well into your hand. I got a few people to come and volunteer their hand for me to see, is this too big? Can you actually hold on to it? Does it fit into your car, for example? So there were many, many shakers that I tried during the testing period. I've got so many manual ones, automatic ones, big ones, small ones, you name it. But this was the one that I finally decided kind of fit in with the look of the bags that I ended up going with. And by the way, I drew this cup and my graphic designer turned it into a
Oh,
digital
nice.
picture as well. And you can see all of like the behind the scenes design in the social media that was leading up to the 3 months pre-launch. But yeah, that's the story behind the Enlighten Me shaker.
Yeah. Now moving on, I guess to social media. I know we had a brief chat offline about this as well. Um, how have you felt about kind of social media and how it intersects with business and then also as a doctor as well?
Yeah, so when it comes to social media, I did not have an Instagram account before I started my business. So I would, if it wasn't for me running this business, I would prefer to be someone hiding with and not actually having a social media account. And I know that I actually post on social media every day on Facebook and on Instagram, but it's because I do it for the purpose of the business. So it's to make sure that people can hear me and see me, and so that they can understand my business. I remember that when I first started this, then one of my marketing coaches said to me, Angela, you cannot be the world's best kept secret. You do not have a storefront. You are going to be a telehealth weight management service. No one is going to walk past you. So if you don't post on social media each day, no one is going to hear you, no one is going to see you. So you have to do something. And so I remember that very clearly, and I was like, I hear you, I understand you. I'm going to do one post each day onto at least Facebook and Instagram. And so if you scroll back, you'll see that I actually started posting each day, but I was really shy and I was really uncomfortable. So when I first started doing that, you'll notice that I actually tried to promote the brand and I tried to promote the clinic, and I didn't put myself in much of it. And it really flopped. No one cares. Like, no one cares about your weight management clinic. No one cares about your brand. And then when I started to have a little bit more confidence, I put myself inside there. So I started to introduce myself And it was just myself that I normally show in my clinic anyway. So I started to show myself, my Dr. Angela character, which is, hi, I'm Dr. Angela, and this is how I position a child to do an injection. Or, hi, I'm Dr. Angela, and I am a weight management doctor, or I am a GP. So I started to bring my own persona, my own authentic self into my social media. And that's when it really started to take off. People who knew me as a GP, colleagues who knew me, people who were interested in weight management, people who started to follow me for my instructions videos. It really started to take off. And that's when I started to understand the meaning of, the impact of, the reach of social media. And I started to get into a routine with creating my social media. And I understood why it's called social media. Social media is for being social. And so I started to change the way that I posted on social media. I started to put a bit more variety inside there. I understood that, you know what? I am who I am. I am a weight management doctor. I have a weight management program. I have weight management products. It's completely okay for me to have some posts where I educate, some posts where I share about my program, some posts where I share about my products, and some posts where I share about my life. Yes, I'm going down to Melbourne. I'm meeting my pharmacist. Yes, I have some posts behind the scenes of me mixing up some recipes. So that's essentially what I share on my social media these days.
Yeah. And any kind of challenges with growing the social media? And I think you said you eventually gained some confidence. Like, was there anything that kind of switched or kind of clicked, or yeah, anything that made you more confident to show yourself on social media?
I think when I made the decision of where the line was in terms of privacy, it was very easy. So I just decided, and I think for a lot of people, they make it a bit hard for themselves because they try to use a personal account and then they have some people who see this and some people who see that, and some people who are in this close group of friends and some people who are in their family account, and they make it so hard for themselves. But when I just decided that my account is going to be a public facing account that everybody can see, and anything that I post in there, I'm going to know that family will see it, friends will see it, customers will see it, clients will see it, potential patients are going to see it. And anything that I post, I need to be prepared that anyone can see it. So I'm only going to post things that I'm comfortable with. So once I decided that for myself, then I felt comfortable and I felt confident. And I decided where the line was. The line was that I'm very happy to promote the program. I'm very happy to promote the products. I'm very happy to promote healthy eating. The things that I'm not happy to promote are, I'm not happy to promote my family's face, but I'm happy to promote us behind the scenes mixing healthy recipes, for example. I'm happy to promote us behind the scenes, for example, going to the park, but I would just not show their face.
Hmm.
So as long as you decide what it is that you want to post and where the line is,
Hmm.
and you stick to those hard and fast rules, it makes it so much easier for you.
Yeah, I think for myself as well, that's pretty good on it. Like only recently, having a post that went viral on Instagram and some kind of controversial comments, but I guess it's a good reminder to still be professional, still be polite, and remember why doing this in the first place. Trying to get your message or your business across. Um, and yeah, I think that's also good tips for our doctor listeners who have a social media presence or have a business as well, kind of figure out where you draw the line. Um, so I had a look at your YouTube channel. I think one of the most watched one is, how to use a needle and syringe to deliver medication. Not the most clickbaity title, but to be honest, I think this is an example of where if you deliver a lot of valuable information and there's a need for this information, I think doctors can play a role in this space. um, any comments about YouTube, and then also I know you run some other events such as Australian Weight Loss Summit.
Yeah, so that particular video really took off because it was necessary and at a time of need. So that video took off because it was produced at a time when the Mounjaro vials were available, and the Mounjaro was being available in the community. Mounjaro's ingredient is tirzepatide, and essentially what was happening was patients were getting the Mounjaro. They were seeing their GP for the consultation or getting the prescription for someone for the consultation. It was going in one ear and out the other. And then they went home to do the injection and they're like, wait a minute, I forgot what to do. This is very, very difficult. Or they'd have a second go when they see the pharmacist and they go home and they're like, wait a minute, I forgot what to do. Even my patients, they would come and see me, they go see the pharmacist, they go home and they're like, oh my gosh, I forgot what to do. So I thought, you know what? I would just make a video so that when they go home, they at least have their phone in front of them. They can watch it a couple of times and they can do it again. And then I was like, you know what? I am just going to record it on my phone. You don't need anything special. You don't need, lights, camera, action, director, actor, whatever. Don't need a belly model. You don't need this. You don't need that. And actually, I've been criticized in the past for showing my own belly button, but I was like, too bad. I'm just going to do it anyway. So I just literally recorded it on my phone, didn't have a special microphone. The microphone that I have is just what is already in my iPhone. Didn't have a script. I just spoke naturally to the camera as though I had a patient in front of me, just using doctor language that I would normally use for the patient in front of
Mm,
me, and just walk them through step by step. This is the alcohol swab. This is how you draw it up. This is how you tap it up to get rid of the bubbles, etc. And I wasn't expecting it to take off the way that it did. My intention was just to have a handy go-to reference for you to watch it one more time before you do it yourself. But what had actually happened was my patients were using it when they went home. Pharmacists were also using it for their patients when they went home. GPs were using it for their patients when they went home. And also in the Facebook groups, they were also sharing it with each other
mm,
as well. So it was just, and I didn't use any clickbait in the titles. It was just literally like how to do an injection from a vial using a needle and syringe. It was just something that was so useful because when that product was available, even in their leaflet, they didn't have a human showing you how to do that. They had a line drawing, and I think they also had a portal that you could go into, and they had a cartoon line drawing showing you how to do it, but still no human, not one human showing you how to do it. So it was just something that people were looking for, a human being showing you how to do an injection on a human being. And so I think that's the reason why it took off.
mm. And do you want to tell us a bit about the Australian Weight Loss Summit, like how it came about and, the idea and then, the logistics, I guess, of organizing so many people?
Yeah, sure. So the Australian Weight Loss Summit was an event that I held last year. And why it came about was because I had been looking after many patients, and essentially what they said to me was, it's really hard to get different information when it comes to weight management, especially evidence-based information. So, if I want to find out what the different options are when it comes to bariatric surgery, if I want to find out lifestyle approaches to weight management, if I want to find out what a dietitian does when it comes to weight management, or what an exercise physiologist approach is, or how you can address emotional eating when it comes to weight management. How can I possibly know this? And where can I just find out the information for free? Normally, you would just Google that, you would go into some Facebook groups, you would ask a friend. It's very hard to just get a one-stop shop, a free resource, and something that you can trust. And then I was thinking, you know what? I know a bariatric surgeon, a bariatric GP, an exercise physiologist, a dietitian, and I was like, I'm just going to have this big online event. I got together 9 panelists and I ran it as a 3-night summit. So I just ran it as a big event. And my intention was just to provide free online access to evidence-based weight management information directed at the public. But what I hadn't prepared for was about 900 registrations, and about 40% of them were healthcare workers who showed up. 60% were the general public, And the feedback we got was that the healthcare workers said that this is way better than the medical conferences that we pay for in
Wow.
order to upskill our obesity management education. And the general public said, like, I can't believe that you didn't charge for this, Angela.
Well,
But you know
that's
what?
amazing feedback. Yeah.
Do you know what? It was so much work to organize. I still can't believe that I managed to pull it off.
Yeah.
It was 3 nights, and what I did was I had three panelists who each gave a presentation, and then we had a live Q&A afterwards. So I would facilitate it. The people would type their questions, and then we would talk amongst ourselves, and it was an absolute party. It was amazing. And then afterwards, people would have access to the replays and also the virtual gift bag, which also had all of these goodies as well, like membership portals, ebooks, podcasts, all of this kind of good stuff. And it's still available actually. So if anyone wanted to watch the replay, it's awlsummit.com.au. So yeah,
Yeah.
that was a big thing from last year.
Yeah, I'll put a link in the show notes so people can check that out as well. And how did it go about, was there any kind of IT issues with so many people trying to log on, or like did you issue tickets, or was it just like a Zoom link, or like I'm curious about the logistics, and also maybe following, like do get their email addresses and follow up with them afterwards? Like how did you find that?
Yeah, I built the platform myself, and then I held it as a Zoom conference. So it actually, I was expecting some kind of IT issues, but it completely ran smoothly, which was great.
Very good.
It
Yep.
was great.
Thumbs up for Zoom. Okay. So I guess thank you so much for coming onto the show today and sharing about your journey, medicine, business, your passion. I can see very evident about weight loss management, which is greatly needed in this day and age. So how can people reach out and follow you or find out more what you do?
Yeah, site which is enlightenme.com.au, or you can follow me on Instagram, and my handle is at Dr. Angela Kwong.
And I think I also understand from one of your other presentations that you're happy to have doctors as patients as well. Is that right for the
Yes,
Enlighten Me? Very good.
definitely. We do have a large cohort of all kinds of health professionals in our program as well.
Mm. So everyone, thanks again for tuning into another episode of Passive Income Doctor. Here's to a healthy and wealthy year for you all. Please, if you found today episode helpful or useful, please share this. Share this with a friend or a colleague. I will be also interviewing other doctor entrepreneurs as well. So subscribe. Turn on automatic downloads. So until next time, keep taking steps to improve your financial health.